Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Ask the Expert at the National Aviary. I'm Dr. Stephen Latta. I'm Director of Conservation and Field Research at the Aviary, and I've been here for about 14 years now. This week's educational theme is condors and vultures, and I'm here to answer your questions about condors and tell you a bit about our High Andes conservation programs. Andean condors are native to the Andes Mountains of South America, from Venezuela and Colombia in the north, all the way down to Chile and Argentina in the south. Condor is one of the largest flying birds. It can have a wingspan of up to 10 feet. It weighs as much as 33 pounds, and it stands as much as 4 feet tall. A single feather on the wing can measure up to 1.5 feet. Condors are scavengers, so they eat carrion, which is dead or decaying flesh. Like many vultures, they have bald heads to help keep themselves clean when they're eating. To find carrion, they need to fly long distances with their heavy body, and they rely on these huge wings and stiff feathers and strong thermals or air currents which are produced by the mountains. And they soar over these mountains, flying very long distances. Condors can even fly for hours this way. The sight of a condor soaring over steep mountains or past snow-covered volcanoes against a bright blue South American sky is unforgettable and really kind of a defining moment for many bird watchers visiting South America. Andean condors are closely related to our California condor. The California condor is a great conservation success story. Through breeding at zoos and conservation centers and releases of birds back into the wild, California condors have increased from just 22 birds in the 1980s to well over 200 today. The Andean condor is listed as near threatened, but their population is declining and they are considered critically endangered in Ecuador. They are mostly threatened by hunting because of the mistaken belief that they kill livestock. But loss of habitat, increases in pesticide poisonings are also big threats. Because condors are at the top of the food chain, they can bioaccumulate these pesticides, so they become more concentrated in the condors and become lethal that way. Here at the National Aviary, we work to protect condors and their habitat through breeding and through field research programs. The National Aviary is home to 3 Andean condors, including Liani, who's a female and 36 years old, and Lurch, who's a male who's 49 years old. Lurch and Liani are a mated pair, and Liani is now sitting on an egg, which we know is fertile and which we expect to hatch at the end of May or early June. We're very excited about this. We've also partnered with a zoo in Cuenca, Ecuador, called Bioparque Amaru, to share breeding tips, breeding recommendations, and resources, and to coordinate breeding recommendations among all Ecuadorian zoos with condors. Bioparque Amaru also receives confiscated and injured animals and works with us and a small network of other Ecuadorian zoos to prepare them for release. For example, when Amaru received a young condor which had been poisoned, we were able to advise them on how to treat the bird so that it could safely recover and then be released. One of the highlights of my own work with birds is really the exhilaration of actually releasing a bird back into the wild. Knowing that we have had a hand in giving that individual a second chance at life and sustaining its population is really unique. What we do at the National Aviary is so important. Through your donation or your membership in the National Aviary, we can continue providing for animals at the National Aviary, as well as help sustain our conservation and education programs. Our condor conservation work extends to field research. One thing we must know for any conservation program is how many birds exist, and is the population increasing or is it decreasing? This is particularly difficult for condors because they fly so much and over such long distances. Our research in Ecuador has established the relative value of feeding stations and networks of lookouts throughout the mountains as best ways to count condors in the high Andes and to help monitor their population size. Condors are dependent on high Andean habitats for survival, so our research also extends to all birds in these habitats. Working with partners from Asua University in Cuenca in what is now a 14-year program, we're studying how human activity impacts birds and their habitats in the high Andes. By returning over and over again to our study sites, we're able to band birds so that we know them as individuals, and we can look at how well they survive and how well they reproduce. So then we also look at things like timber cutting and introduced species, both plants and animals, grazing of cattle, tourism, and even climate change, and how all these factors may affect bird populations. Having the opportunity to work in these very special habitats and to get to know these high Andean endemics found nowhere else in the world inspires me personally even more to protect these birds and their habitats. You too can see condors at the National Aviary. While the aviary may be temporarily closed, you can still visit our condors at our Condor Court habitat and see them from the Allegheny Commons Park with proper social distancing in place. So thank you for joining me today at the National Aviary. Stay tuned for more great videos on our social media pages or on our education corner at aviary.org, where you can register for new SciBird learning programs, or you can make a donation in honor of your favorite National Aviary bird or mammal. Thank you.